welcome to our very first episode of Fans Without Credentials. I'm one of your hosts, Tom. We've got Jared and Eric here along with you. Hey, we just need to clarify for our first episode the rules of the road, and here's how it works. If you're an armchair quarterback or Monday morning GM, this show is for you. If you're one of those elitists, go puck somewhere else. If you don't know how the salary cap works, you never played a sport, but you want to watch it on TV, this is the place for you. Again, no gatekeepers, no elitists. Your take may be crazy, but chances are so are ours. So with that, we've got a great show for you. Jared, tell them all about it.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Tom. Fans Without Credentials. We're going to be hitting some nice topics today. We're going to be starting off with baseball, MLB, way too early predictions, all sorts of stuff. We love jumping the gun here as early fans. Then we'll go into a little bit of basketball, talk about them Pistons. What are they going to do? What those playoffs going to look like? And then, maybe the meat and potatoes of it all. The national championship, the games tomorrow. We had Michigan play yesterday, but we got to start with baseball first, and I'll lead in with Mr. Eric Hoffman.
Yeah, guys. So happy to, get this together and get things rolling. But, welcome to the first block, everyone, of the Fans Without Credentials show. We're a little over, 1 week into the season so far, guys, and this energy has been chaotic, especially these opening series has found one thing is clear, that the offenses did not get the memo that pitching is supposed to be ahead of the hitters in April, as we've seen some astronomical numbers. The Yankees and the Dodgers, I know, put up some good numbers, and even the Tigers, I think right around 500 or one game up right now. They've had a couple of games where they've scored some runs as well. So the scoreboard's been smoking. The one headline I saw was that they're using Super Balls because the exit velos that they're seeing from these guys like Judge and Ohtani look like they're playing to exit the atmosphere in just the ballpark themselves. You guys, anything that you've seen early on from the way the pitchers versus the hitters have been going on?
I mean, I'll start. One of the things I think is obvious is ABS is a godsend for the sport. So when you talk about that dimension with pitchers and hitters,
we'll
having a strike zone
in a minute.
Yeah, having a strike zone that is legit is I think that's helped a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. And you talk about pitchers, and there's been a lot of explosiveness, but one of my team, Cincinnati Reds, we've got Rhett Lauder, who actually broke the franchise record starting his ERA at 1.5 to start the season. So,
nice.
Coming, there's been a lot of hits, and the Reds haven't had a lot to cheer for, but, a little bright spot. We had Andrew Abbott as well, who's been pitching pretty well. So it's, you do look at all these explosive guys, but hey, there's still some pitchers who are, pitching some. We shut out the Texans the Rangers the other day. So, hey, it still happens.
As everyone will find
look
out,
good.
Sorry, Tom, as everyone will find out down the road, as we're sporting our Detroits today, Jared has a little more of a Cincinnati vibe to him. So you'll be hearing a lot like the Reds and the Bengals and all that crap, that goes along with it.
And then he swings all the way over to Massachusetts because he's a Boston Celtic fan.
Yeah.
So who picked him to
talk
about?
I get behind those Pistons, though. Well,
talking about baseball, right? And the pitchers and hitters. Like, I don't know if maybe the World Baseball Classic didn't have some kind of effect with a few of the guys, especially some of those hitters, because they were seeing, some top-notch pitching right off the bat, something you typically don't see much of in spring training. So, they've kind of already got their timing adjusted for those who actually played in the tournament. But again, I think, the pitchers, some of the pitchers looked just fine. Skubal looked pretty good. Our new guy looked really good. We've had a couple of games, though. Verlander got beat up pretty bad. Turns out he's got a hip injury.
And now out.
Yeah. So 15 days, but in his interview, though, it seemed like he was going to be fine. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things. Your offense usually does take off pretty well beginning of the season.
And obviously it's early on. You've got some scouting. You got to do some things you haven't seen. And you just like in a game when you've got your first, second, third time through the lineup, you've got to see teams 1, 2, 3 times, especially your division teams, before you can hone in and see what you've got to do against them. But moving on, guys, as we keep it going, also to go along with the early season is some chaos as well. I think one of the lines that I heard was we've already had a walk-off on a pitch clock violation. It's the most 2026 thing ever. We are literally watching games decided by a stopwatch.
I mean, I like it though. If you think about it,
Yeah.
right? Like the amount of time that isn't wasted with stepping in and out of the box and stepping on and off the rubber and 15 throws over to first base and whatever. Like they've got to be creative now to get their pitcher a little bit of a blow, right? Like, you know, it's the quick timeout from the catcher going to run out and tell him something, and because he knows this guy is laboring a little bit. We saw that yesterday with May pitching for St. Louis against Detroit. Like, he had a pretty rough go, and you could tell things just weren't working for him. But the catcher was really slick about how he kind of gave him that. But you've got to be creative now, and the umpires in Major League Baseball, they just don't want you wasting a bunch of time. And that was always the complaint, was the games were just too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that the game needed to be sped up. I understand that. I mean, where's the happy medium? I guess we'll find out as we move into what your segue was there, Tom. Kind of what I'd like to call the umpire chronicles this early on in the season. You know,
Right.
Yeah, we knew the ABS challenge system was going to be a factor this year, but we didn't know it was going to be a comedy of errors. Specifically, we have to talk about the legend himself, Mr. CB Buckner.
Oh,
I'll set this up, and I believe I have a clip that Tom's going to play for you here in a second. So the setup, Reds are playing the Brewers, and good old CB was umping that game. The Reds challenged 5 of his calls in one game, and they went 5 for 5. Literally didn't get a single challenge call right. And it's like he was guessing based on the sound of the catcher's mitt instead of watching, which prompted this sound bite, which Tom is going to play for you.
The call from CB Buckner is that Jake Bauers missed first base. And I think that is the horrendous call. Where is CB Buckner looking?
He's not even looking at him. Everybody laughing at that call.
Kevin Cash is laughing. Look at Murph. Those two guys are laughing.
Yeah, I don't know how you missed that, Eric. I really don't.
If you watch it, I mean, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Moving on.
You just got to.
I mean, let's go back to the Miss Perfect Game call way back.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, it's right there in front of your face. Yeah. But so let's queue up a couple little quick other sound bites here too. Also, Alex Cora put it best after a game this week. He also said 2 days ago, we love the ABS. Today, we're looking for the off switch. Yeah, it's the only sport where technology is making the professionals look like they're playing Guess Who. I mean, you're taking a lot of the human element out of it when you're trying to make this system work too hard, too fast, too soon.
Yeah. At some point, though, you got to ask yourself the question: when do you remove the home plate umpire? I mean, do you really need that? I mean, if you've got a camera system that's going to give you the balls and strikes, I mean, do you need an umpire to call that? That's usually the thing that gets 90% of the time that the managers come out and end up getting tossed, or a player gets tossed. It usually has to do with balls and strikes.
Yeah.
I get that, but what do we grow up on? I love the human aspect and the human element. I mean, what are we going to do with the NBA down the road? Just bet on what team has the best robots out there?
Yeah, well, those Thunder robots would be nice.
As far as the fouls go, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is one of those things where you got a ball going 100 miles an hour, right. and the dude's letting it go about, you could figure about 85 feet with the wingspan some of these guys have, or whatever it is. And I tell you what, I wouldn't be able to discern a ball or strike, especially when it's like, a guy is working the edges. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. So that's the realist piece of it. Going back to the old days, I mean, Randy Johnson was the only guy throwing 100, and he was like some kind of alien thing, man, because nobody threw 100 back in those days. And so, I mean, an average starting pitcher was probably going about 92 miles an hour. That was fastball, 4-seam fastball was about 92, and then you had Randy Johnson doing 101, 102. Nolan Ryan was kind of one of those guys too, but again, rare breed, man. And so I think it was a little easier. And we're just looking, especially with sports betting, they want everything to be as precise and accurate as it possibly can be, because any kind of perception that there's some funny business going on or a call being missed or whatever, you got the Donaghy thing going on again, but this time for baseball. And there's, there was talk about that with some guys getting suspended last year had to do with parlay bets and things of that nature. You don't want the umpires getting rolled into this. And I think if you've got the technology to do it right, do it right.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I mean, I didn't grow up on baseball the same way the rest of you guys have and just the rest of the world has, but it's like there's a certain point where the human element can hurt a product and hurt legacies. And it's like there's that fine line, because at the same time, you don't want it to be a robot off, because then also there's no nuance with robots. The thing about, it's a little different with, balls and strikes, but when you start trying to say, oh, well, what about football? You're losing in basketball, you're losing the nuance, the physicality of the game. And it's just a slippery slope when you start making things robots.
Well, I'll end it with this. I saw a tweet saying that CB Buckner is the only man who can look at a 98-mile-an-hour heater down the middle and see a slider in the dirt. at this point,
he's the only one.
I'll finish it.
He's the only one.
I'll finish it. At this point, the ABS isn't a tool. It's a mercy rule for the fans. But maybe it's a little bit too early, too soon.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. I mean, at least they waited for Angel Hernandez to retire before they brought it out, because I'm sure he would have broken.
Thank God. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
The last thing I wanted to get into, guys, before we end the baseball segment for now, is the new blood that we've seen. It's like you keep wondering, you keep these new seasons come up, and it's like, okay, is so-and-so going to come up and be just like they were last year, how they've been for several years? But man, this new blood has really injected some excitement into what I've been watching on TV already this young season so far. Tom, I know you've got one to elaborate on, and I'll let you get into that. I want to go over a couple of them real quick. I want to talk Murakami from the White Sox. He's getting Godzilla comparisons everywhere when he coming over from Japan. But he might be better than Godzilla. He homered in his first 3 games. White Sox finally had a reason for fans to keep the TV on past the 3rd inning also.
That's a miracle.
It's been tough over there, man.
And the broadcaster sounded like he was witnessing a miracle on the air. So
sounded like Eric Collins on the Hornets.
Yeah. Well, I got one. To quote him, I did get one phrase from him saying he isn't just hitting homers, he's denting seats. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come, and hopefully he can put some people in those seats to catch those homers at the same time. The other guy I want to get into, guys, is Chase DeLauder from the Guardians. This kid, he's 6'4". I mean, I'm 5'6", so I get take it for what it is. It looks like he was built in a lab. His teammates are already saying he's not from this planet. He's got 4 jacks in 3 games. If you're a pitcher in the AL Central, you might want to have an injured hip and go on the IL for a little bit. With this kid coming on, because the way his start's going, it could be a nice year for him. Tom, I know at the same time, you've got a nice young tiger that I know I've been watching too that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, Kevin McGonigal. Everybody was kind of really hoping that that Harris was going to bring him up, late in the season last year, and as it worked out, by him making the team on opening day, they lost that year of player or of team control by bringing him on instead of waiting 2 weeks, which is sort of what we were thinking was keeping Harris from bringing him up in the fall last year when they expanded the rosters. But you think about it, and with McGonigal, the way he started his first game, his first 4 at bats, 4 hits, RBIs. Kid's batting .333 right now.
Well, and some fielding too. Let's just not do his offensive numbers. His fielding's been good too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so he's a 0.5 wins above replacement, which speaks to the fielding piece too, right? So he's hitting well. But yeah, he's made some great plays from third base. He's made some great plays from shortstop as well. And it's good to see AJ kind of moving him around that side of the diamond a little bit. He's had a day off or whatever, just to kind of, they're really handling him well, I think. And the fact that he was batting leadoff the other day was another testament to the fact that his poise is really. He looks like a vet. He does not come across like a rookie. And when you look at Max Clark going back to spring training, like he saw like a 98-mile-an-hour heater come by, and he was like, "Whoa!" So the poise just wasn't there for him. And I'm sure we'll see Clark in another season or so. But McGonigal is tearing it up.
Yeah, 2 days in, I was looking because I have 4 fantasy baseball teams going thanks to my UPS driver, and after the first 2 days, I was looking to see if he was available, and he was already picked up. I hit all 4.
Yeah, not
the cautionary tale here though with McGonigal, and this is a problem. It feels like it's a Detroit problem, maybe not exclusive, but he's off to a great start. And the reality is, teams scout players. Every team scouts players. These pitchers are scouting him, and they're going to find something, and they're going to make an adjustment.
Yeah,
and he's gonna go through it. He's gonna go through a period where he's not hitting the ball. And my concern is that everybody's on the Kevin McGonigal bandwagon, and by July they're going to be yelling to trade him because he had a streak of a couple 2 or 3 weeks where he just wasn't producing.
Well, I wanted to,
and it's just natural.
I was going to ask Jared, and I was going to bring up Murakami, but I guess bring them all up, but specifically his power and being young, and you, Tom, bringing up, people scouting and getting to know these young kids. Do you think, especially like Murakami's power, but these kids, do you think their offense can hold up? Or do you think it's just a product of early season and it's just a matter of time before they come back to reality?
Well, I think it's kind of a double answer. It's the same thing you'll see in the NFL. There's certain wide receivers or players who have a good first year, but that's all it is a good first year. So you've got some guys who that's legit. That's really their talent, and they're going to learn the counters, and they're going to be able to go through slumps and still be a good hitter. And they're going to have some guys where the moment's going to be too big for them, and they're not going to be able to adjust, and they rely too much on raw talent and their kind of go-tos and never evolve their game enough to really be that upper echelon, multi-time, all-star kind of guy.
Yeah. It'll only go, and again, only time will tell to see, but early on, it looks good. Almost kind of like what we got with McKinstry last year. I mean, you had lightning in a bottle, and you just didn't know how long is it going to last. So, you just got to wait and see. But that'll end the MLB portion for me, guys. And thanks for letting me have that segment. I think we're going to move on over. I think Jared's got some basketball we want to get into.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about, guys and, was it legit or not? And, one of the things, to talk about the Pistons is Dennis Jenkins, the way he's been playing the last 10 games since he started, almost averaging 20s, shooting the ball at like a pretty high clip, well into the 40s. And it's, he's had 5+ assists in almost every game except for one. It's this missing Cade. He had to fill big shoes, second-year pro. He's only 24 years old, played at 4 different colleges. I mean, this guy's, for how, in a sense, young he is, he's been around the block. And, I mean, Detroit hasn't missed a step. I mean, they took OKC to overtime against OKC without Duran or Cade.
Well,
that's ridiculous.
And Jenkins is playing like he's pissed off about who didn't draft him.
Yeah, and I can't blame him. I mean, he seems like a guy where I think they actually did extend him to 2 years. I think he's getting 12 over 2, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, they're lucky that they did that now, because I mean it's looking like it could become a Peyton Pritchard kind of guy for them, a guy that they get late, older prospect. Is he really that good? A little bit undersized, but he's playing really great early on. And when you're playing behind a guy like Cade, a true pro, you've got a coach who knows what he's doing, been around the league a long time. I think you see the development and the poise of that young man. And I mean, I don't think it's faux. I think he's a legitimate 2-guard and a guy that Detroit is lucky to have.
It's the piece that they've needed for a long time. And that was the big thing with Jaden Ivey. The
Right.
idea was that they were going to develop him as an off the ball kind of guy, two guard, and he really didn't. It was just weird because he was not so much an off the ball guy, and of course his whole situation's pretty tragic at this point anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Pistons fell into one here. Jenkins has been tremendous, and the fact is, when Cade went down with a collapsed lung, I mean, first of all, you're worried for the guy, for the human being there going through that, and then you're thinking about how's this going to affect their seeding? Once the human aspect is over, it's back to the sport, and like, how's that going to work? Because you just didn't anticipate them continue, and like, you got to give props to Duran too, man. He has stepped up in a big way.
He's going to get paid a lot of money this offseason.
Yeah.
Well, we fell into it with Jenkins, but guys, it really comes down to Cade with the meat and potatoes of what's going to happen with this team. It comes down to Cade. Can he get healthy? Can he get the reps to get? It's not just about being healthy. It's about getting back in conditioning with a collapsed lung and getting those reps in. So when he gets back, and he get back to those reps where he can go a long distance, because I'd hate to have to lean on Jenkins too much. But at the same time, I remember talking about the first month of the season, talking about how they had many games with 6 or 7 people out and were winning games. So the Pistons are also battle tested with having players out.
Yes.
And look at the records from when their stars are out too. So if they can get it together, I think they're deep enough to where they can withstand adversities going through the playoffs, where a lot of the outside teams think, and a lot of other analysts don't even have them in possibly their top 5 to get to the finals.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a team that has a guy who's averaging 25 and 10, missed 10 games, and you've lost 1 since then, or maybe you've lost 2 since then, I mean, I think you've got your story right there. I mean, Detroit and what JD Bickerstaff have done is just nothing short than coach of the year. I mean, as a Celtics fan, Joe Mazzulla, it's hard not to say, like, well, look what Joe's done with that team, but it's still a Celtics team. I mean, the Pistons had no expectations. I mean, the Pistons, I mean, they're bad. They've been bad. I mean, for the last, for a lot of my life, they've been a average throwaway team. And now they're out here winning games.
They went from a load management game to a measuring stick game.
Yeah. And, one of the other things is looking at who they might play. As a 1 seed, it's now not obvious who you're going to play because of the play-in.
Yeah.
And
the seeding's going to be interesting this season, especially for Detroit to make it through, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and
if you look at,
I think we were looking at Boston being the big juggernaut that the Pistons were going to have to handle. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if
I know who I
the Celtics
want.
look great, but the Celtics, they're not the only ones I'm worried about in the East anymore.
No. I mean, I think when push comes to shove, I mean, when push comes to shove, you got 6 through 10 are all separated by, I think, 2 or 3 games. I think it's 3 games. So there's going to be a lot of movement in who you're going to get. I mean, you could get a team like the Hornets because they're right now, I think they're the 10th seed. Or they're the 9th seed. So, they went out against Miami.
That's who I want.
That's who you want?
I want the Hornets, yes.
Ooh, see, Eric,
Really?
I'm looking at teams. I think that's the last team I'd want out of those four teams.
I don't think
between the Magic.
I don't think they have enough identity on defense to stop the inside.
I don't know. Musu Diabate might be one of the most unsung players in the league.
Not when you can run all these players at him all night long. No.
I mean, it will be a test for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think all these teams will be a test. I just because anything, because you just don't know the health of Detroit. You have a health of Detroit. We're not having half this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I still think best case scenario is the Orlando Magic. I think that's pretty case in point, the best case scenario to fall. They're just way too inconsistent. You want to talk about a team with no identity, period. I mean, they'll go on a 4-game win streak and then lose 10 in a row.
Who's the team you don't want?
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm looking at the Heat and the Hornets.
Yeah, the Heat for me.
Yeah, so
The
for
Heat
me,
are
the team I don't
debatably
want is
one.
one that we could sweep.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I see, and it isn't just basketball, it transcends a lot of sports. You know, you get through your little series, right? Your 4 games or whatever, and you're hanging out for a week waiting for everybody else to finish up so you can get on.
Yeah.
And you see that rust plays a part. I've seen it in hockey. I've seen it. You see it in baseball. You see it. I mean, you see it in all sports really, except for football. So, yeah, I just. I mean, I want them to have a challenge because I'm a fixed firm believer in iron sharpens iron. And, you know, the Pistons have been a pro team. They've not kind of let up when they've had teams that have come in that, you know, they were expected to just trounce, and, you know, they've taken care of their business. They're not playing down to the competition or playing up to the competition. They're pretty consistent night in and night out. And, you know, it was another thing you mentioned load management. I don't see that a lot in Detroit, man. Like, guys they'll get a day here and there, man, but this isn't the LA Lakers, you know, giving LeBron and Anthony Davis and the rest of those jokers around the league, man. Like, the Pistons, what they do outside the lines, it tells a lot about what they do inside the lines.
Yeah, that's pretty well said.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be in this time of year, and like I said, especially for Cade, it can't be about rest. It's got to be about conditioning, especially for him, and then getting the rest of the team in check.
Well, so what's your prediction then, Jared?
For who they'll play?
How do you see this? How do you see this whole thing shaking out? Like,
well, you know, it ultimately depends, obviously, in these last couple of games, just because those seeds they're so close. I mean, they almost all have the same record. So, you know, these last couple of games are going to be pivotal just for, you know, the Hawks were in this conversation. That was one of the teams I was going to say you really don't want to see if you're Detroit, but they've been so hot that they're pretty much going to lock up that 6th seed, it looks like. I really see it being, I think the Hornets are going to get into that 7th, 8th, and then they're going to play, and then they'll play the Heat. I think it's going to be Heat Hornets, and it depends on who wins that one. I think either way, it's not a good matchup. I mean, any team coached by Eric Spoelstra, trust me, as a Celtics fan, you do not want to go against those guys. They show up when it matters. I mean, was it 2023? They made the finals as a play-in team. I mean, this team knows how to win. I mean, they don't have Jimmy Butler, but I mean, you still got your overall core. You still have your head coach. I just think the Heat are one of those teams until they are, you know, dead and out of contention. I would never want to play them in the playoffs.
All I know, you know, I have no idea who it's going to end up being. I just, you know, I'm excited because I feel like for the first time the Pistons are legitimately going to have a shot at getting through that first round, that second round. They were a legitimate shot to make the finals, to be honest with you. I think that was a lofty projection last year because they just didn't have that 2 guard that they needed desperately, right? That shooting. And hey, man, Duncan Robinson too. That dude is, I mean, he's one of those guys, like a lot of people look at him and it's like, he can't ball. Oh, he can ball.
Oh yeah.
He can definitely ball. Robinson's been a nice addition to them too in the offseason, but you know, all I can say is I'm just glad I'm not going to have to see Brunson this year.
Yeah, the Knicks aren't going anywhere.
Careful,
I mean, anyone who thinks the Knicks are
careful.
threats.
That wasn't a foul.
That was almost a soccer foul.
That wasn't a foul.
Where's the call, man? I want my call. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
at
like
least
Neymar is still rolling across the pitch from his last World Cup, man.
Didn't he get shot like 5 years ago on the field? He pulling onto his leg.
I don't. Yeah. Well, yeah. You'd think he was shot.
That's why acting like he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
But speaking of Robinson,
those guys.
It'd be nice to segue guys into what the excitement going on, especially in the state of Michigan, still getting into the Final Four, gentlemen. I think Tom, you've got a little something to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, if I think even Spartan fans were tuned into that game, whether they were hate watching or whether they were rooting for a Big Ten team. Man, it was a great game. Like
Phenomenal.
there were so many things to take away from that, like how well the team played when Yaxel was injured. I was really impressed with Tom Lloyd's comments after the game, you know, as far as like just a class act in terms of how to lose how to lose with a little bit of class and humility. And you know, like that team was a juggernaut. And the thing is, they never played Michigan. And I've heard it said that, you know, people looked at that Michigan team, you know, in this tournament, and they looked like the Michigan team that played in the Vegas tournament to open the season. They were just unbelievable. And they went through some things and a couple of losses along the way. And there were some close ones too that they managed to pull out, but like they have dominated. And so then the discussion is also like Dusty May and the way things used to be, and now he's bringing guys in from the portal, and is that, you know, oh, people are complaining Michigan bought their team and blah, blah, blah.
It's a better hat.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of different things we should talk about with regards to not just that game last night, but also just the state of college sports as it morphs. Any one of those areas we could go ahead and start with, you know, I mean, the fact that the team played as well as they did with Yaxel, I think he only played about 15 minutes in that game.
Yeah.
And the limping 15 minutes.
Yeah, he was nursed an injury there for a while, but then ended up coming back out. You know, I obviously, you could tell by the couple of hats I put on that I am not a Michigan fan. But Lord knows you could use the timeout right now. But anyway, I will say that I am a fan of Dusty May. I think he's done a great job, and to be able to do the great melting pot and bring this group together and to be the group, like you said, from the Vegas tournament on. Granted, they had a few setbacks throughout the season, but man, I could tell early on that this team, if they don't win the title, it's because they beat themselves.
Yeah.
I would 100% agree with that. It reminds me a lot of how I felt about the Celtics a couple years ago when they won the championship. I mean, it was like they are clearly the best team. If they do not win, it's on them. And I think you're seeing Michigan do that right now, especially after they dismantled what everyone's been telling media, everyone's been saying all year long, Arizona's the best team. I don't care. Yeah, Michigan's good, but Arizona's better. There's just a different level that they have. And I mean, they dismantled them. It was never close. I mean, within the first 3 minutes of the game, the Michigan ran away with it. I mean, Yaxel barely played.
10-1 to start the game, something like that.
Yeah,
it was 10-1.
I mean, tightened a little bit, but Michigan never let it go. And I mean, at one point they had as much as 30 points, a 30-point lead.
I love it from the standpoint of, I mean, they look to what I always like to say is kill the will. I mean, they're not just looking to have a lead or whatever. I mean, they want to step on your neck and make sure that you have it in your head that you have no chance of winning these games. And if I have to put 90 or 100 on you, watch me.
And the play-by-play crew kind of alluded to that going into the second half. And if you watch the halftime show, I mean, Barkley, who's, you know, was rooting for Arizona, Barkley's like, man, they look deflated. They look just deflated. And I just think that, you know, when you look at the matchup, it was not a good matchup for Arizona from the standpoint that they are used to being able to out physical teams down low, and they score a lot of 2-point field goals, and they do a lot of that in the paint. And Michigan is just not the team with the lineup they have and the size they have. It's not the team you're going to be able to get down there and bully around.
No,
and Arizona's not a 3-point shooting team, and
no,
really
one of the worst.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, as good as Michigan was offensively, man, they played a complete game because their defense was stellar.
Yeah, I mean, they are. I don't know. They remind me of. I don't know. Was said on early on in the season. They remind me pretty close to the UNLV teams.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just run. And if you want to run, we can run all day long. If you got to slow it down, then we'll block shots all day long. And we'll play stout defense. I mean, because UNLV could play defense too, along with the way they ran as well back then. But yeah, I just so impressed with Michigan this year. And the thing with them is usually when a team loses, it's because they can't answer or make adjustments or whatnot. Michigan always has an answer for something. Whenever something happens or someone goes on this little spurt, oh, guess what? We're going to turn around and put on 5 or 7 points of our own real quick and make it look like all your effort was worth nothing.
Yeah, and that's what those good teams can do, right there.
Well, Cadell too. I want to point. Oh, go ahead,
Jared.
That
was you just stole it. I was going to talk about Cadell. I mean, 2 for 14 at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw halftime, you saw like that tweet, the best 2 for 14 game I've ever seen in my life. I mean, if you looked at the box scores and some of those stuff at halftime, Arizona fans, you told them that before the game, Arizona fans would be happy. They'd say, oh, we'll probably win by 10. 2 for 14, you're down almost 20.
Well, did you see Weber get excited last night?
I didn't watch theirs podcast.
Yeah.
I think, what was the one clip I saw this morning? One of the guards, I can't remember who, went up and hammered down, and Weber jumps up and says, our guards dunk on you. I mean, it's just, you could just...
I think it was McKinney.
Yes, yeah. There you go. Yeah, they were fully invested.
Yeah.
Well, and that's interesting. You mentioned the Fab Five, because one of the thoughts that I had at the end of that game, and I've had this thought kind of permeating as the tournament's gone on, but it was like, no doubt, after what they did with Arizona, this is the best Michigan team I have ever seen in my life. And I remember watching 1989 Michigan against Seton Hall in the finals, and they were a really good team, really well coached. The Fab Five, were a solid team. They didn't win, the title or anything, timeouts aside. But the reality, this is the best Michigan team I have ever seen, not just from the player talent perspective, the player IQ perspective, right? Like, it isn't even the physical presence. They've got good physicality, but it's the way they see. And that was Cadeau, man. He hit the threes when he needed to hit the threes later in the game, but like, he was feeding everybody. And those bigs must just love him, because he can distribute the ball at the rim and just set them up for highlight reel plays. And there's nothing a defense can do about it.
Let's just not forget, guys, that there's somebody that's got to bring all of this together and make it work and make them buy in and create what we're seeing on the court all year, and just sitting back and just letting it unfold in front of him and not looking for all the attention. I mean, I can't say it enough. Great job, Dusty May.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, because he gets a lot of criticism because of the way the roster was constructed. Like, all I heard all season long in the Big Ten as they were stacking wins is just how this was. I mean, nobody actually said it was cheating, but it was that almost innuendo. You know what I mean? That Dusty was doing something that was not right for the sport. And man, I got to tell you, like, I think it's a very professional approach to the changing landscape of college basketball.
Well, because college basketball's semi-pro to begin with now anyway, with NIL, and it's
above board now.
It's the new it's the new day and age, and it's join in or go by the wayside, as now we're seeing, with possibly the 65 miles the other side of the state. I don't know if you guys saw the post or the picture. I think it was when they got to the Sweet 16 or Elite. I think it was the Elite 8. They showed a picture, and they had all eight teams, and they showed each college, each player starting 5 played for last year. Michigan State was the only one that had all 5 from Michigan State.
Yep.
Right.
And that's an argument I hear from Michigan State fans.
How long does the old school homegrown 4 years that I've always longed for still wished it was there, but still I've got to evolve too, like I did as a basketball coach, coaching 25 years. There's got to be some type of evolution, or you're going to be tossed by the wayside. And I hate to say it, for the legend that Tom Izzo is, it's probably time to start making adjustments, or starting to get a foot out the door.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because he's a legendary coach, right? And, I've never I've never had anything bad to say about Tom Izzo. All respect to him and what he's done for his career and for Michigan State basketball, even though I'm not necessarily a Spartan fan. But yeah, I think, you look at some of the trouble that another franchise, a pro franchise, is having, and that's the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
They draft well, they try to develop, and then, they augment to some degree. You could argue probably not very well with veterans, and you see what the product is. They just lost again today, 5-4. They're probably, almost a no doubt are going to miss the playoffs. And then you look at Michigan basketball, where you've got some kids that started with Michigan that are still there. Will Cheddar, for example, getting some minutes in there. He's a key bench guy, but he gets some important minutes in the game. And that's, so you develop the roster, you try and develop your talent, but you also have to be a realist and not so stubborn and set in your ways that you aren't willing to improve in a key position or 2 or 3, or even, your roster depth. You've got to do it if you want to be competitive in college sports. And you can bitch and complain about it, Tom Izzo, or you can get with the program. And at the end of the day, with the money that has been injected into Michigan State's athletic program, he needs to get with it, or he needs to take a play out of the Nick Saban playbook and realize that this just isn't his thing anymore.
Well, it's not that he's not using the portal. He is. It's just all those starters were for Michigan State last year. But during the season, you had a player, Ogachukwu, was starting at one point and then got injured, and he was a transfer player. So it's not that he's not using it. It's just not. It doesn't seem to be the same standards or effect that these other schools are doing, where you can almost buy championships now.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And it's funny, you talking about Tom Izzo also reminds me of a coach in a different sport, not hockey, or that just recently stepped down, and Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. I mean, it's kind of the same sort of thing. You don't get with the times. You do what worked, 20 years ago. I mean, I'm sure you've heard James Harrison say that they run the same defense they ran when he was there 15 years ago. So, I mean, it's the same thing. And he steps down, and it's kind of like, well, looking at Izzo, like, is someone going to take his spot? Is he going to step down? Or, you can't imagine they'd ever fire him, but gets to a point where it's like, if he's not willing to change, your program is going to be stuck at the Sweet 16. And if, that's not the pedigree that you have built at Michigan State, it's championships. If you can't get there, doesn't matter what last name you have, you got to do your job.
Well, Michigan State too is long thought of as a blue blood program in basketball, and they're not. Absolutely not anymore.
Well, you're starting to see some realities too. You look at total Final Fours. I think Michigan's one behind Michigan State in total Final Fours. I mean, it's just that Tom Izzo has taken Michigan State to all these multiple Final Fours. And if assuming Michigan wins tomorrow, which I'm predicting they will, and it probably won't be close. The Big Ten and Michigan State can't hang their hat on a 2000 title anymore.
No,
not at all. No, not at all. I mean, and that's the thing. It's complacency. And when complacency sets in or stubbornness sets in because you aren't willing to look and adapt and change. I mean, just look down at Clemson as far as college football is concerned.
Yeah, it's a perfect example.
I mean, I defend Dabo Sweeney all day long as far as the tampering is concerned, which is a whole topic we need to hit at some future time. But listen, man, you got to use the portal. You have to.
It's sign of the times.
Yeah, you got to do it. And I guess the last thing that I really wanted to kind of hit on with regards to the game yesterday again was the post game comments that you got from Tom Lloyd there from Arizona. Excellent coach, well thought of, his colleagues, peers, and whatnot across NCAA basketball and whatnot, and just kind of the way he gave Michigan their flowers after, a surprise sort of ending to that game. Spoke a lot about him, and it draws a contrast with some of these other coaches. Like, I'm not a Hurley fan at all. He's a good coach, X's and O's, but I can do without some of the other nonsense. It's one of the reasons I liked Bayline so much. I didn't care for Howard, just kind of the difference in temperament and mentality and professionalism. And I saw that in him, and I see that in Dusty May for the most part. Dusty will get into a little bit of a kerfuffle with the media sometimes, but I feel like they handle it, and like Lloyd put on a master class in just being an excellent pro.
Yeah, I mean, even though Arizona hasn't had a lot of success, I mean, that culture he's built there is part of the reason that they're a top recruiting team and been a relevant team for the past decade plus. Sorry, Eric, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. I wanted you to finish because I was going to say, guys, I think we got a little bit extra time if you wanted to dive into the Red Wings for a few minutes before we cut her loose for the day.
Yeah, well, we can talk about the Red Wings a little bit. So I
don't know if Tom really wants to talk about the Red Wings.
Man, it's rough, and honestly, I gotta credit the Red Wings for the whole concept of this show, Fans Without Credentials, because hockey fans are like soccer fans. They are some of the most elitist clowns you're gonna run across out there. Like, if you say anything that a hockey elitist fan disagrees with, you don't know puck. Okay, what's
Casual.
your move, GM, and blah, blah. Straw man argument after straw man argument. And the reality is, like, hey, you don't have to be a general manager caliber front office, like legitimate hockey executive, to take a look at the Detroit Red Wings and take a look at just about every other team out there in the league and realize something's not working here, man. 7 years into a rebuild, and well, it's going to take them 10, and stick with the plan, and you don't know puck. Come on, man. We're going to miss the playoffs again. We're almost on year 10 of missing the playoffs. We're going to tie the record for most consecutive seasons not in the playoffs in a league where it's designed for everybody to get into the playoffs at least once every couple of years. I
labeled it as they seem to be that storefront with the paper window that says coming soon, and you just don't know when the paper is finally going to get ripped down.
I mean, honestly, I feel like they need a liquidation sale right about now and start over. Like, seriously, we've seen some positive signs coming out of Grand Rapids, but a lot of the hype too around some of these players that have come out of Grand Rapids is, a little misplaced as well. Casper is one of those guys. He had a great rookie season, and man, he has struggled mightily this year. And then you take a look at some of the guys that were with the Red Wings and were sent away under the current front office, right? Mantha comes to mind, who's on a 30-goal pace again this year. Anthony Mantha was one of those Holland draft picks and just wasn't playing well in Detroit. He just didn't look interested. And that is the key that I think has to be addressed.
Well, and
there is something. Go ahead.
Lack of aggression at the trade deadline too. You got $10 million and do crap with it.
Well, I mean, more than that, it's the pro player scouts, right? So let's just clear up this bit of misinformation. Everybody points at Chris Draper for the reason that these free agents, we're getting back. Chris Draper is in charge of amateur scouting. That's his baby. Kurt Maltby is on the pro scouting side. Chris Iserman, Steve's brother, is also in pro scouting, and they got a couple other guys in the pro scouting department, and that's where they've missed the mark, perhaps. But as I look at this thing, what it seems to me is it is a leadership disconnect in a big way. So you've got your general manager in the front office, you've got your coach, McClellan, and the coaching staff, and you've got Dylan Larkin as the captain of this team and the players. And it just seems like there's no synchronization whatsoever. McClellan is trying to put a team out there to play a certain brand of hockey, which is, hard nosed, get into the tough places, get in front of the net first, but they don't have the players to match that. Like, they just don't. And a couple of the guys that have that personality, I mean, they're old by hockey standards, and I'm talking about Perron and Van Riemsdyk. You know,
Well,
you just can't expect a lot.
you've got to have a youth movement. I mean, Larkin's got to be going around the locker room wondering if he's in an assisted living house or something. I mean, with some of the guys we got here now. And if they don't make the playoffs again, it is time to clean house. The eyes are playing needs to be 86th. And Tom, we remember, talking about the grind line and the Russian five. We don't talk about stuff like that anymore. We're the team that's hard to play until the third period, then the wheels fall off.
Well, and lately it's been a better third period because they've had to try and come back. So today's game is a great example. They give up 3 goals, like bang, they score the first one in the first period. They get into the second period and Minnesota scores 3 unanswered. And it ends up, I think it was 4-1 at the end of the second intermission. Detroit comes back to tie it up with about 8 or 9 minutes left. And then the Wild end up winning in regulation. So, I mean, and they keep going to Gibson. And, at some point you got to have a guy be able to step in there and give him a day off. He's played back-to-back games. And I got to tell you, like a lackluster performance in front of him from a defenseman standpoint, like Seider is the only guy that seems to have his head screwed on there on the defensive side. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I just know that there's a major problem with identity for this team. The players don't match the coach, the system. You see the captain go out there and get cross-checked and laid out night in and night out. And everybody, like, nobody is coming in there.
Wow.
Like, you can run Dylan Larkin all day long, and there isn't one person that's going to step up and do a damn thing about it.
Well, we're stuck in the middle too.
Wow.
Now, because we're not gonna win anything, and we're not gonna get a good draft pick.
Yeah, but if the Wings are relying on draft lottery, all they got to do is look at their history, man. It's never worked out for them. It's terrible. But again, it's not an excuse for playing crap hockey, for the last 7 years. It's not. Now, you can give Yzerman time, but I mean, I look at Florida. It didn't take them that long to get things turned around.
My hockey hat.
Yeah, there you go. It didn't take. I mean, look, Florida had 1 first-round draft pick, in the top 5 over the course of several years, and the rest of them were outside the 9th, right? And they managed to put together back-to-back Stanley Cup teams. You look at what Jimmy Nill did in Dallas, and granted, he had a little better situation than Yzerman inherited, but he made him a competitive team. Western Conference Finals like 2 or 3 times, and you just see people just bolting ahead. And the way the league is now, if you're expecting to build it from within, and they're gonna be great for 10 years, man, you're delusional.
We got spoiled when the Wings were winning in the early aughts and 90s and whatnot, because we had nice names and we had a good farm system, and we were spoiled. Was it the 02 or the 05 team that was like the greatest team ever assembled when you had Hall? Well, I thought it was 02. I mean, you're not going to see that ever again because it just doesn't work that way anymore.
Well, the salary cap, right? That's what you're getting at. And it's one of the things, too, that I hear all the time, fans that will blame, Illich is got him handcuffed. If you look at the last 2-3 seasons, Yzerman has spent right up to the cap number. When the year is done and they've paid the bonuses, they are right up to the cap number. I don't know how it's going to work out this year. I haven't looked at it. But I did look at previous seasons, the last 2 specifically, and they were right there. They were within $1 million or $2 million of the cap. And they, what did they do? They picked up a has-been goaltender at the trade deadline last year for basically next to. I mean, there's just so many things. Mm-hmm. And like you said, Eric, I think reality is you got to kind of tear this thing down. And is Yzerman on a lifetime contract? That's the question.
Well, maybe maybe just move him up a spot and have somebody else take care of bringing the players in and just keep him in the system.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. They've got a board of governors, and Devillano, who used to be the GM back when Kenny Holland was just a scout, who put together, basically the draft that drafted Steve Yzerman. He was the architect, I guess you could say, too, behind bringing in the Russian Five. Holland kind of crosses over, but Holland was one of his chief scouts and responsible for finding a lot of these guys for Devillano in the first place. So it really ticks me off when I hear everybody bashing Kenny Holland. I mean, look, he had an owner and no salary cap, and that owner demanded the premier players at any cost.
If you haven't seen the Russian Five documentary, you need to see it.
Yeah.
It
was great to see Sergey get his number hoisted up into the rafters.
Absolutely.
That was just a great day.
Yeah. And it's nice to have that connection. And I don't know if we've really tied in, with where I'm at, guys, with my daughter. Like I got this AQ hat on when she played hockey at Aquinas, but she played hockey in Petoskey, which their home ice is the home of the Fedorov Hockey Academy, where Sergey's brother owns that and whatnot. And so my daughter actually got to know Fed quite a bit and actually got to meet Sergey. I believe Sergey was in the area for a wedding or something like that. I got to meet Sergey and got an autographed picture and something like that. So yeah, nice to have that connection.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to watch, it's hard to watch, and I'm a hockey guy. I know Jared's more of a basketball guy, but I've been finding myself watching a lot more Pistons because at the end of the day, man, you just want to see a good product as a fan. You just want to see something competitive. Well, and whatever it is that they need to do to get it sorted out at Little Caesars Arena for this club, they need to get on it and get it done.
I coached basketball for 25 years and I have 4 fantasy baseball teams. I mean, come on.
Not a hockey guy.
And my daughter's in hockey. So there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Pretty good.
Well, I don't know. I think we'll have plenty of time to talk about how the Wings, I predict, missed the playoffs, unfortunately, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about what they should do in the off season. And but man, hopefully something changes, and hopefully these guys get the message, get the memo, and get things tracking in a better direction than they were last season. So another topic for another time.
Yes, sir.
That's a big one.
Well, fellas, it's been fun, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people talking about how we don't know puck, and that's fine. There are other shows for you for that. You can harass Vanetti and Enrico down there at the ticket.
Before I judge you, I'll make sure I'm perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, so tune in. We're going to do this again next week. If you got an idea for a topic, just put it in there. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and feel free to share away, right? So, and comment. We'll take your comments. And if you've got anything really good, cool, and interesting, we'll feature it in one of the shows as well. And who knows, might even send you some branded paraphernalia.
And this is just the start. I mean, this is, I'm hoping not to be in this bedroom next week as I just kind of threw this together. Right. So yeah, nice starting point for this show, and excited to get this thing off the ground.
And next week I'll try and be sober. So with that, thanks for watching.
That's the call tag.
Like and subscribe. Take care.